I'm back, Jim. I've got the microphone working.
All right, sir. This is Eric, and we're working on his homebrew Electret microphone. Now, which one is this one? I know it's the Electret homebrew, but which one?
Which one is this one? I know it's the Electret homebrew, but which one?
This one has the CalRad element in it. It's not the Radio Shack element. And I have to run about a 4 on the compression and about 68 on the microphone level for the ALC. And I'm talking about an inch away, and I have a foam head on the microphone.
Alrighty, now can you easily switch to the other elements?
Alrighty, now can you easily switch to the other elements?
No, I have disassembled the XLR pins out of the bottom of the Shure handheld, and then put another cartridge in and get the screw in. So, in this case, there. But I'm running the right microphone level, and I'm running about. Let me take a look. I'm running a 4 on the compressor. I'm going to go up to 5. And you tell me if that sounds like it's too harsh or there's suck up.
Okay, so I'm standing by for 5.
Standing by for 5.
Here's 5 on the compressor, and we're still, the mic level is right where it's supposed to be.
Roger, Roger. Well, when you first key down, that compressor is going to be wide open. It's the nature of the beast that your first key, the first millisecond of that key, the compressor is going to be wide open. So the first word that you say before that compressor collapses is going to be quite hard and quite loud, and maybe harsh because of its the element's capabilities of responding to higher frequencies. But past that, say about 2 seconds or a second into that conversation, that compressor processor will mellow out into its nominal 3 or 4 level, depending on what you've got set there. So that would be the way that you would evaluate it. Just a little bit further into the sentence than right off the bat. And however it says, that mic, if you've got 100% on your A&L, 7 or 2/3 on your A&L set on that mic, then that will be representative of 100% modulation, and I think it sounds really good. What you really want to do is A/B between your dynamic and your Electrets. That's the thing that I would like to hear. I except the fact that there would be some anomalies between $3 elements in the Electret department, but the real comparison would be between the dynamic mic and the Electret mic. If you could exclude the devoted equalization that you have cranked in for the one or the other, or the modulation level, the A&L set level, it becomes quite interesting to. It's like what do you call that when you pick a horse to win, and then you give it certain attributes for running the quarter in this time, whatever time. So it's I forget what they call that, but anyway, long story short, lots of luck as far as being able to directly compare the dynamic microphone with the condenser mic.
Roger, I have turned this up, Jim, to a 10. Instead of 30 on the Heil, this is a 10. And it sounds a little harsh to me, but I was wondering what you thought. 5 and below sounds a little cleaner to me, but I'll just keep talking a little bit here so you can evaluate. But yeah, right now it's running 10. And in fact, while I'm talking, I'm going to turn that back down to 5, and you can tell me what the difference is now that I've gone down to 5.
Okay, I'm looking at your output on a VU meter off the audio out of my 7300, and so when you were up there in those higher ranges, audio levels, I could see that you were running at approximately a 3 dB dynamic range, which is exactly where we need to be. And then as you started to back off on the level, you started to get wider in your dynamic range average percent of peak modulation. So you went from a 3 to a 5 to a 7 in there, you know. So your level, your apparent percentage of peak modulation dropped off quite a bit.
I understand. Well, maybe I'm being too critical. That Heil dynamic has a very mellow, almost a broadcast quality to it. I'm back up to 10 on the compressor since you said that was giving me 3 dB. And I may just be too critical at this point. So we can run this, and I'll get into a contest here one of these days, and I'll see what the comments are on this mic, or if they act like they have trouble hearing the enunciation. But I've got it on 10 right now, since that got me to the 3 dB point, and that's where we're going to leave it. We'll run it a while. I've done a lot of testing switching back and forth between the 3 Electrets and the Heil, and I just have to admit, the Electret has a crispness that the Heil kind of mellows out. It sounds great, but it's more of a broadcast kind of tonality. And this, to me, sounds like it'd be ideal for working DX.
Roger, Roger. Now, don't forget, what is your EQ curve? You know, that plays directly into the top-end EQ of your element. So what is your EQ curve, and what kind of equalizer are you running there? I forgot.
Your EQ curve, and what kind of equalizer are you running there? I forgot.
Yeah, the Kenwood equalizer is an 18-step equalizer, and you recommended that I run it flat, and that's what I've been doing. So the only thing I do to get a little more on the bottom end is I boost 2 dB below 300 to fill out that 100 to 2900 bandwidth. And that seems to bring it up on the spectrum analyzer a little bit to give me a little more low end, so it's not all top end. But it is flat. It's a 0, and that's where I've tested all of my Electrets.
Roger, Roger. Now, the ideal frequency, I think, is at 200 hertz. 200 hertz is a nice low frequency that doesn't get in the way. 300 hertz is a little bit higher and does start to play into the mid-range capability, although the real mid-range starts at 450 or 500 right in there. But if you pull that down to 200 hertz instead of 300, you're going to increase your bottom end there. And also then on the top end, if you're saying all of your controls are flat or off, except for that low frequency EQ at 300, you want to put that on 200, and on the high frequency you're up there at 2.7, I think, is the ideal push frequency. Did we discuss 2.7?
I think is the ideal push frequency. Did we discuss 2.7?
Well, that's been the traditional frequency, but you said that because of the higher capability of the Electret up there, that I should try to run it flat, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay, so maybe come down about in about 3 or 4 clicks at the 2.7 down. So let's see if we roll off just a tad of that, what it sounds like. I'm just curious.
just a tad of that, what it sounds like. I'm just curious.
Okay, I've rolled it 3 dB down at 2.7 and 3.0, and on 2.4 I went down 1 dB just to kind of smooth it into it, but basically dropped off 3 dB on 2.7.
Yes, sir. I think maybe you might want to listen to that and see what you think. To me, it sounds a little more, less attack around the throat, you know. Not quite as hot on the top end. So maybe that's another idea to consider, is a slight roll at 2.7 instead of that in push. Roger?
At 2.7 instead of that in push. Roger?
Roger, Jim. We'll do that. I can hear it in the headphones that it did roll off some of that sharpness at the top. So that's a really good place for me to start playing. And we will, it looks like I'm averaging 3 to 5 dB on the compression as I speak. And that's kind of a sweet spot for me. So my spectrum analyzer looks like it's pretty full, and that's kind of the way I like it. So I'll let you go this time. I figured out what was going on before, and I wanted you to hear this Electret, and I will experiment a little bit on the top end. So you have a great day. Glad to have you back, and hope you get a whole bunch of people calling you today. It's Kilowatt 8, Echo Papa Sierra, clear.
Eric, Echo, Papa, Sierra, Roger, Roger. Always a pleasure, sir. And don't be a stranger anytime. Glad to talk with you about mics or power amps or whatever you might have in mind. I know your engineering background, and I appreciate that because you've learned how to tackle problems in a certain way that you move forward. And I was really impressed with your answer about why you didn't conduct a test on the upper end of that microphone with a push, that we had suggested, because you took the fact that it would do that and you just ran with it. You didn't waste time verifying it. Good job, man.
You didn't waste time verifying it. Good job, man.
Roger, 73, sir.
Roger, Roger. This is the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog net. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.